Welcome.
Only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Good morning.
Same time, same station.
Let's get this show on the road.
Yeah, let's get this show on the road.
You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated.
The world is greatest everything. Presenting the world is greatest everything. Presenting the world is greatest everything. 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 Everything.
Yeah, it's everything, man. It's everything. Today, I have to honestly admit, I didn't necessarily have a good night's sleep. Woke up a couple of times and, I think I got the full 8 hours, more or less. But I don't know.
Good morning.
Yeah, thanks. I need that. I guess it's going to be goggle day, so I can see what's going on. Just help the old eyes. And got double shirt on. Don't have the greatest shave. Vanity. Happy Valentine's Day to those who are in love and celebrating these kinds of things. If you saw from that title card, it's a Valentine's pizza. I told you there's this place that I've been helping the guy out, opening up, taking care of the things that his trusted employees just can't seem to do, like counting the cash and preparing the deposit and the register for the day while he's out vacating. I just thought about it. He's in some resort town on Valentine's Day. I guess that's with his wife. It's so romantic. I don't mean to sound like a pity me type of guy, but it's me and my hi Blackie. My cat's named Cooper Black. His nickname's Blackie. How many people? Anyway. It's soda pop, highly caffeinated, not sponsored by anyone at all, not monetized. That paid promotional thing that you probably saw at the beginning was just because I do hype my book, and I figure if I wouldn't say that, then they'd probably give me some kind of strike or something. But the fact of the matter is, I'm above board. This is TV, Tony Caravan live TV. I want to make sure I don't violate any of the terms of service. Face looks puffy. Remember there was a line in Wall. It was an interview with what's his face? The guy who was in Wall Street, not the older guy, the younger guy who got into trouble and then was in that show 2.5 Men. What the heck's his name? You know who I'm talking about. And he said after shooting every day, Wall Street, they were like drinking every night, and he thought his face looked puffy, when he saw the film, whatever, a year later after it was, in theaters. But it's true, when you drink beer, and of course we know I had that 5-hour marathon a couple days ago. Yeah, that's what it does. It puffs you out. So if you, if you don't want to have a puffy chipmunk cheeks. Try to say that 3 times fast. Chipmunk cheeks. Then lay off the lager. Just a little tip. If I put this up at the beginning while I was waiting for. Sometimes at the beginning of these things, it's like choppy. This is it is kind of self-explanatory. Radio, broadcasting discs. And you would send these record companies would send these to you, or at the radio station, you might send them out to somebody for a prize or something like that back in the days of yore. And you put that label on there. And that's when the postal delivery guys would actually pay attention to when it said, Fred, look, it's from Italy, Fragile. That Christmas movie. Tony Caravan with you for another edition.
Good morning.
And it's been live for, I guess, about a week. I've been doing these live casts. It's Sunday morning at about 6:10 here, according to the old computer clock. And it's February 14th. That's Valentine's Day. But yeah, not to get on people's cases. I know it is kind of a romantic thing. A lot of people get engaged on Valentine's Day. It's probably an unfortunate thing this year. People won't be able to take their loved one out to a romantic dinner, but you could always go to the Dollar General or Dollar Tree or one of those places, like I recommend. And you get a little turkey thing going on here or something. I don't know. By yourself or you used to go to this is going to be all over the place, but anyway, I'm going to give you some romantic tips, maybe. You used to be able to go to the thrift stores, those, like the Goodwill store. And you'd find all kinds of great stuff in there because people would clean out their houses and they do a nice deed by, taking these things that they had no more, their house was cluttered. They had no more use for them. So they take it and they figure somebody less fortunate might want this. And a lot of it's just clothing, but the best part when I used to go to these, and I haven't been to one of these things in at least, oh man, I would say almost 10 years, but at least 6 or 7. And I used to love going and looking through like kind of just the knickknack sections, like weird ashtrays or these odd things from the 60s or the 70s, or somebody went to, Mexico and they came back with some object that, oddball, what they call it, chachis or something. I don't know whatever, but I used to look for weird stuff like that. And of course I'd look for albums, records, that was always a neat thing. And yeah, it was great. I never was, most of the store was usually taken up by clothes. And if you went with a woman, the woman spent most of her time going through clothing racks. But I was always into those odd little shelves where they had all those, just things, these things that people create and that humans collect. It's crazy. I'm looking around here. I know I have some in the other room, but I don't want to walk away from the camera. But nowadays, unfortunately, like once something is announced, once somebody on YouTube decides to give you, here's a tip how you can make money, right? And once these people started go, so now, like, there's like almost at least there was, and I've talked to some people who are like, who go to these things, who donate, people who care are constantly donating, old clothes and things like that to it because they actually care, that they would hope that this would get in the hands of somebody down on their luck, somebody a little bit on a tight budget that, could use a piece of clothing that, is still in good shape, just needs to, wash it and wear it, But, there's always cars there like waiting for this, the Goodwills and the Salvation Army or whatever, these various thrift type places, charity thrift places to open up. And they're in there and they go in and they're just pulling out all of these things, these cool things that otherwise, guys like me or that unfortunate other people might want, little devices, kitchen utensils, things, that, when you're broke, people don't get that. You know, if you need a spatula, you know, you ever look in the supermarket, like where they have pots and pans, and I forgot to put in my like hello world. Hello world. Chat is open if anybody pops in, wants to say hello world to me too. But you know, if you look in the supermarket, and there was times I remember one time I wanted to buy the perfect example was, and this was when I first moved in this house. I bought a stove because I bought this place that didn't have a stove in it, and I was going to make some cookies. You know, yeah, I make cookies every now and then. I shouldn't because oh man, I've got a weakness for that. Well, let me tell you, I'll just eat some of the ones that are the broken ones, right? You know, and I'll save the rest for, you know, I'll give out, you know, during a holiday. And sure enough, well, maybe I'll try one more because I make a damn good cookie, I'll tell you. You know, I can make a cookie from scratch, but I could take a cookie mix and then I'll add like those little white chocolate chips, and I'll crush some walnuts or peanut. You know, if I make a peanut butter cookie, I'll put in Reese's Pieces and stuff like that. Sinfully delicious. And anybody who's done that knows what I'm talking about. And that's all I kind of, you know. And I guess you can make some heart shape. Just a little tip, you know, to the ladies out there. I've never done it, but now that I just off the top of my head was talking about that heart-shaped pizza, I guess you can make some heart-shaped cookies, right? That'd be an interesting idea. I'm sure somebody else thought of that idea. It wouldn't be hard to do, you know. You'd have to, I mean, oh, I guess you use a cookie cutter to do that. I never did have a cookie cutter. But anyway, I needed because I'm not really a baker, you know, though I've learned living alone to become almost like a gourmet, really, because you experiment with things. And when you're by yourself, you know, you're making a stew or a soup or a sauce or whatever, you can put the spoon in there and taste it because you don't have to worry like you're corrupting something, you know, something that somebody else is going to taste. I mean, I wouldn't do that if I was preparing food for a guest. But so you can actually, you know, sprinkle a little stuff in, mix it in, and make sure you get it just right and all that stuff without having 17 different spoons there, because you don't want to, you know, get your mouth onto something that somebody else can eat. But I needed a cookie tray because I didn't have one. I didn't have cooking supplies. It's just some guy, you know. And so I went. And I'm not near one of those Goodwill places. And I told you I got rid of my car because I'm living the simple life, you know. And I'm happy living the simple life, you know. My costs and expenses are way down, and that's fine, just fine. Goins goes, I get lonely sometimes, you know, but I got my cat. Anyway, enough of that. So I go to the grocery store to buy a cookie tray, and I was really hell bent on making this because maybe I was going to send some to my, you know, because I don't live near family, and it's just the nature of things. You know, my mother and father had moved to Florida, you know, years ago to retire. My sister lives down that way. Actually, at this current, my father passed away. My mother still lives there. God love her, 87 years old. I talk to her, you know, as much as I can. Talk to her for a couple hours on the weekends and stuff. I'll talk to her probably today, later on, usually Saturdays or Sundays. She's still, you know, it's like talking to her, you know, her voice sounds pretty much the same and her mind is, you know, sharp as a whistle, as they say. But, you know, so, you know, I sometimes, so for for a holiday or, you know, some kind of thing, I'll send, you know, you send gift boxes to people, whatever. And as people get older, you know, it's like, there's nothing, what are you going to send? You know, what do you send a person? You know, a younger person, you could send some kind of thing, you know, I often send my books to people and stuff, but my mother has, her eyes aren't the greatest, so she don't want to read my, she's read my book on the, so the hard problem of consciousness and and all that kind of stuff that's in there. You'd be interested in this. So I figure I'll put together a little gift box with with some goofy things in there, like some holiday napkins, different trinkets, and and make some cookies, and send her some homemade cookies, put them in one of these priority mail things, so everything arrives fresh in a few days. So I really wanted to get, and I really wanted to get a cookie tray. So I go to the grocery store, which I can go to the grocery store. It's just like a mile or so, round trip. I don't know. It's not that far. It's good exercise anyway. And of course, they had a cookie tray, and they had a fairly decent one. But I think the thing was like $15 or something. At least. So I bought the cookie tray. End of story. I still have it, and I use it. But that's what I mean about these thrift stores. So if I would have went to a thrift store, I could have found like a kind of semi beat up cookie tray, flat tray. You can make French fries or cookies or whatever you want on it. I could have probably picked it up for $1 or something. And so, but anyway, so to finish that, the circular little thing I'm into is that, and even on Valentine's Day and for gifts, poor people, sometimes they repurpose stuff, or they would go to a thrift store and find something, and, because, when you're in love with someone, them, and, what they like, and you make them something or get them something, and, maybe give them a serious gift and maybe give them a half funny gift. That's how my family always was, especially around like Christmas and stuff like that. We'd always try to you'd give people something that they wanted, or you knew that they could use or something like that. But we'd also give like a bunch of like, just funny, goofy, crazy things. And that always made underneath the Christmas tree was always, always lots of boxes and well wrapped. We were in the printing business, so me and my dad, and we were professional wrappers. We knew how to wrap packages. They looked like they came from Macy's or some high end Tiffany's or something. But now, because these people on YouTube or some places saying, hey, you could go to a thrift store and buy this stuff and resell it on eBay or one of these other, they've got apps now that like kind of do the eBay thing. And you can make money doing this stuff. And here's how you do it. And it's like, shame on you, shame on them if you do that. Because that's not what that's there for. Those stores are there because somebody can't afford a cookie tray to make cookies for their, for their very old mother. Somebody needs a ladle and they can't afford to go. Like, that's what I was trying to say. You go to the grocery store and buy a ladle or something you need, a strainer or your pot, the handle on your pot. You make your soup with broke or something, and you need one to cook dinner or something like that. And it's like, yeah, you could find that at supermarkets. They have that little spot in just about every one of them where they have those things. But they're as expensive as hell. It's like going to a convenience store, and buying toilet paper or something like that. You'll pay like 5 times the price. Because it's a convenience store. I just saw that was a good line in a movie. The guy that was in that Rectify show. There was a line where he went in and he was buying all the stuff, and the guy behind the counter said, that'll be like $23.44. And the guy opened his wallet and he didn't even have, like, he had less than $20. And the guy behind the counter, it was a cool scene. The guy behind the counter said, look, he saw in the eyes of the rectify character, who was like, clueless to the world because he was out of touch with the world for, I don't know, 19 years. Excuse me. It's Tony Caravan live, and it is the morning show, and I'm having my caffeine. So he was obviously an empathetic person. Sorry, I could keep that soda off my mustachio. And he said, you should really go to a supermarket because you're paying a higher price here for convenience. And in many ways that is true, because if you have small, though, convenience stores are ripoffs. They take advantage of it, I think. But in another way, you could look at it and say, they're buying in lower quantity, unless it's a 7-Eleven, major chain like that, where they have such a big store that they are just like marking everything up an extra $1 or $2. But get back to this fairly long, roundabout thing about, Goodwill and thrift stores, is that, you go to the supermarket and some item that you might need is going to cost several more dollars than it's worth, or that you have at that particular point, especially people on fixed income, somebody on Social Security, or like I say, the worker that it's the day before you get your paycheck or something. And doesn't stuff, how it is. It's, you call it Murphy's Law or whatever it is. But you always run out of that thing, right? The day before your check, or some payment always comes due, right? Just a day before, you get that money that your money gets deposited in your account. And then the bank, you get about $37.50 overdraft fee or something, and like and then these people on fixed incomes, like they can afford that $37.50, just like is like a, is a weight on them and just kind of ruins their month, because there's a lot you could buy. Anyone who's ever went to a Dollar Tree knows that $37.50, you could walk out with about 5 bags of things, and those that don't understand that, that's fine and dandy. You're making 6 figures, you got a job, you're in the prime of your life and you're doing that stuff. I know I was wastrel, when I was making really good money. I wouldn't pay attention to anything. I just if I needed something, went shopping and I needed something, I just bought it, right? Fill the cart up, the checkout, they'd say, oh, $124, and you'd give them the $124, but it's a big difference when you have like only $24 in your pocket and you have to get enough to eat, or you need things for the week. Or Valentine's Day, you want to make an evening special for a loved one. So circle back to that. So, you can try your luck at a Goodwill or something like that. But what I would do, I used to be Mr. Romantic. I was always into, my idea is that, women, my whole life was like, I was married twice. I had a lot of girlfriends and longer term relationships. So I always had, there was always a woman in my life, and I was always one to I don't know, I was brought up that way, or, they'll say, oh, you're old fashioned, or you're, whatever, say whatever you will about me. I really don't care. I am what I am, and that's who I am, like Popeye used to say or something. But I always used to like to make things special for the women in my life. And, I was into the romantic thing. So it'd be candlelight dinner, make them a candlelight dinner, make it extra special. The music, the candles, the dinner, the whole affair, it just, I've got as much pleasure out of preparing that and doing that for them as hopefully they got when they came home, from work, and the house was dark, and there was just the table was set with two, long tapered candles, and and neat place set up, and some flowers or something, and some cool music playing, Frank Sinatra or Harry Connick Jr.'s first album. Yeah, I used to be into that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. And there's a certain type of woman that appreciates that. I know, a lot of people today, they just don't, they've lost touch with the idea of the whole, that part of reality, that part of relationships and life and love. As if it's almost like they fear love, or they want to criticize that kind of stuff. And no, that's the stuff that gives life meaning, or these scientists says, well, love is a chemical reaction based upon such and such, or psychologically, what you're really just trying to do is this propagation of the species. And so you're therefore, respond. The subject will respond in this way, hoping to whatever. This particular stimulus is basically whatever. It's like, yeah, maybe, kind of, but you still have that. That's my book, The Hard Problem of Consciousness. They still can't answer the difference between our thought process, our consciousness, and us being in the first person, the who, the I am, and the physical, brain jello mold up there, and anybody who studies that will openly admit that. Get my book and read that. So if I were you, I would I'd go to the thrift store, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, or whatever, and I don't even know if they still have this stuff anymore, because people have gotten so cold. And even if you haven't done it before, you could try it on your girlfriend or wife, surprise them. And yeah, get some get those long, see if you could buy 2 candlesticks holders, because you probably don't have them, and 2 tapered candles, and that's what I'm saying about the thrift store, because usually you could buy, buy some older ones, and they'd be maybe tarnished or something like that, and you can buy it for 50 cents or something, and go to the one of these dollar stores or something and get 2 tapered candles. You can buy them for $1 or something, and then just some goofy napkins, some heart-shaped Valentine's Day napkin-y things, and some other stupid hokey corny Valentine's thing, or just red, a red tablecloth, even if it's, even or red placemats, even if they're just made out of like paper or something. Spend a few bucks and do that. And if you're really, and if you can't cook a gourmet meal, you're not that type of guy like me, that's learned over the years to do all this stuff. It's like on the title card of this video. A lot of these pizza shops now, order a heart-shaped pizza. And when your wife or girlfriend comes home, or your girlfriend invite her over to the house, put on some of your favorite music, like her favorite music, and I'm not talking about headbanging music, or rap music, even if that's your favorite music. Something that she likes, that's more on the romantic or a little bit on the mellower side. Dim down the lights, light the candles, and just have a heart-shaped pizza, and go out and get some kind of like dessert, that goes along with it, whatever, and just make a night of it, and make love on Valentine's Day, the original expression "make love" like, if you were watching an old movie, and the woman would be, "Hey, are you trying to make love to me?" And the whole idea that wasn't like some act, the idea of making love is what I just told you. It's like romanticizing, not romanticizing, but being romantic, that kind of thing. That was like making love to a woman. That's where it really came from. But that's my little Valentine's advice for those out there fortunate enough to be in a state of love, or or whatever, with someone. If you're not, well, then none of that stuff applies. And of course, that this is on a budget. I'm just talking on a budget, because that's my thing right now. We're heading into these times where I don't, first of all, when I was doing very well, when I was living in New York, DC, LA, Philly, it sounds like a broken record. I tell these stories all the time, and I'm not going to tell those today. I keep this short. But when I was doing that, and I was making, had good jobs and making money and all that kind of stuff, it was a whole different thing. So, I would certainly wouldn't be watching me or some guy like me on YouTube, because I had much better things to do. But then again, in those times, you weren't under a lockdown, and they weren't making out some annual flu as if it was like a flesh-eating disease and scaring the crap out of people. So it's not like you could take take your loved one out to a really cool restaurant, or something like that, a night out on the town. That's the thing. So that should anger us all. Like, who do these people think they are? They don't abide by those rules. We've seen that over and over. If they want to go out to dinner, if they want to go boating, if they want to go on a vacation, these so-called ruling elitists, politicians, the cult of personality that everybody worships, they make they have no bones about doing whatever they want. They think they're above everything. And so they just go out there and do it. But they tell us, oh, you can't do it. And if you do, we'll arrest you, or we'll fine you, or we've closed the places down so you can't even go if you wanted to, or it's wintertime, but you got to have outdoor dining. That's the funniest one. You're seeing like what they were doing in New York. They were actually like having the streets, people were dining in the street, but the way they set it up was they didn't, it wasn't sidewalk dining, like here's the sidewalk. They would have traffic coming next to the sidewalk, and the dining section was more almost in the center of the street, towards the center of the street. And you had these cars, because people are lunatics with these cars. You're just driving down, and these waiters, waitresses, or whatever have to like cross, almost cross traffic to feed these people in these, plastic caged places on the street. It's almost like, why go out? I'm going to dine in the street in some kind of plastic covered thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. No, I want to be inside the place. I want to be inside a place. I want the ambiance, I mean, the absurdity of what's gone on in the past, and then what they've gotten away with. That's the real thing, is the absurdity of what these people have gotten away with. It's like, it's like Fauci at that baseball game where, the two people aside of him had their mask on, but he had his mask off. Mister, you got to wear 2 masks now. The hypocrisy of that. Everyone saw the Gavin Newsom thing, going to that ridiculous restaurant, sitting crowded in all next to each other, the $300 a plate meal and stuff. Pelosi going to the hairdresser, the Chicago mayor, I think she went to the hairdresser. Well, I'm a public figure. I have to, you know, Cuomo, de Blasio getting caught doing things, you know, without masks. You know, the list goes on and on and on. It's ridiculous. And, you know, so it's like, you know, that's the part that bothers me. And it also shows the disrespect for us and the idea that people are so dumb not to see through that, right? Or it's almost like, that's why I say we're getting back to feudal times, the king system, the old world order, where just because they're royal, so-called royalty, it's like they could do whatever. And instead of people like thinking, like, who the heck do they think they are to do that? People go, oh, my lady, you know, bow down, curtsy to my lady, my lord and master. Forgive me, my lord. Right? What can I do for you? Instead of saying, you hypocrite. And well, why am I doing this if you're not? Right? Hey, where's our $1,400, Mr. Schumer, Mitch, Turtlehead? Where's our $1,400 you promised us? You know, and promised those front end workers and front, you know, and all these healthcare things that you promised. Oh, you put that aside because you had your little political game that didn't even work out the way you wanted it to. Just became a media circus. Oh, I guess you owed the media that because their ratings were going down so much that you promised the alphabet networks that you would have this like week-long thing and a build up to this thing so they could cash in on some ratings before they tank completely, right? And no longer exist, because this is the new TV. I mean, let's face it. You know, come on, I'm way better than anybody on CNN. It's not about the look, you know. It's not about the glamour boys or the glamour girls, you know. I was that one time. It's not about that. Content. You know, in the early days of when I used, you know, being involved in the internet, and so we used to always, that was the big thing, you know, when you go to these conferences, and I used to go to all of them. I went to the, you know, computer conferences in Vegas. I went to Macworld, you know, all those things. I used to go. I was a part of that whole community back then. And I used to be a thing I used to stress on a lot of others. It's all about content, you know, and those, you know, there has to be substance to whatever you're doing, and no hypocrisy, you know, truth, and that and reality. And we live in this world of unreality, and you know, I mean, who knows what they'll be saying, what they consider to be romantic, and what networks will be saying about Valentine's Day or something like that. You know, I'm sure they'll be somebody will interview Fauci. Don't kiss your girlfriend on Valentine's Day, right? Don't, you know, don't embrace her and kiss her on the neck, you know. You know. Could you believe we got to this point? I mean, really? Could you believe we got to this point? Like I say, we know the truth, you know? I mean, they treat it like it's a flesh-eating disease, but they clearly don't, in their lives, act as if it is. So therefore, why would we believe that it is? You see? And there's, you know, people listening to this or watching this, you know, who still will not grasp that point. It's like, look, if the people telling us a thing don't abide by the, you know, by the same rules, so-called rules or guidance that they are putting out there, if they're hypocritical, then why should you? Or how serious are they about it? And what is it real? Like I said in my previous video, that 5-hour marathon, if you ever make it, you got to make it to the end of that. That was incredible. The last couple hours of that, you know, I got into some really heavy out there stuff. If you're somebody who likes to, you know, ponder, you know, ideas and weird things and all the stuff you just don't hear, or if you go down the rabbit hole sometimes on YouTube, the last 2 hours of that thing are good. You know, of course I was having some loggers, a lot of loggers, smoking a cigar and stuff like that. But, you know, there was some good stuff in there, you know, 1 or 2 slip ups, but who cares? You know, okay, that's the other thing. It's like reality. Just live real. Be real. Don't be a hypocrite. And these people are hypocrites. This cult of personality, where people give these people, because they're on TV, a break, like, and excuse them. How many of the announcers, these news readers, because that's all they are, is news readers. There's a teleprompter in front of them, sound person, you know, cameraman, women, whatever, staff, script, you know, there's this whole crew there, and then there's people in a booth, and, you know, switch camera A, camera B, close, get camera A, start moving camera A, you know, camera A, move in for a close up, cut to camera A, camera B, back off, move to, you know, get a 2-shot, you know. I not only went to school for that and did that, but I did it professionally. I know the whole game, man. It's show business. News is show business, and the people on camera are the highest paid people. They're all, and if they're on any of these alphabet networks, they're all millionaires. But they get constantly caught doing the complete opposite. So my question is, what's their game, man? You know, what's real and what's not. So everything you know is wrong, and what you don't know, you don't know. Those 2 shirts, those should be the 2 popular shirts in the country right now, and they're available on the link. You know, I think you click show more, and there's a link for more info. Go to my site's Google, you know, page, and there's links to them. But, and, you know, let people see that, and let them be puzzled, like, what, you know. What do you mean everything you know is wrong, or you don't know what you don't know? And watch them like puzzle on that. You don't know what you don't know. What does that mean? You don't know what you don't know. You know, it's like, get, you know, that's what these people need, is, you know, because it's getting crazy out there. It's like people are getting dumber by the day almost. You know, what are they doing? You know, is it the Elon Musk's, you know, 10,000 Wi-Fi signals he's sending, baking the Earth? You know, they already turned the Earth into a junk planet. The Earth from space is just filled with space junk all around it. It's not that pretty blue marble, you know, when you were a kid, or you'd show on a PBS kids show, right? And see this beautiful Earth, right? Or the Earth from moon, you know, brings tears to the astronauts, right? It doesn't look like that anymore. It's surrounded by all space junk and these weird little tiny, you know, pieces, all kinds of stuff. I mean, they're putting up thousands and thousands of these tiny satellites, and then there's rockets that go up, and portions of them they just don't need, and so some of them fall back to the Earth. Some of them just like get caught in an orbit. It's just all junk, you know. So the Earth is I can't do it now because I have a picture of it, but this thing doesn't allow you to put in implant, you know, insert pictures. But yeah, it's like, it's crazy. You know, these people drive you nuts. But however you do it, you know, have a great Valentine's Day, you know. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with romance. And don't let people, you know, I've watched how they've tried to take romance and love out of out of our society. And that's like a part of their thing, because I guess they're afraid for people to have emotions. And, because that's what this whole idea of lockdowns and social distancing, and is really all about. In the beginning, they were saying, if you can't social distance, wear a mask or something like that. Otherwise, don't worry about wearing a mask. I remember Fauci said, well, the mask really doesn't do anything. And now he's saying, well, wear 2 masks is good. Social distance and wear a mask and and don't go anywhere and close the places on top of it. And then you see these poor old ladies, who have nothing better to do. So they get up in the morning, you turn on one of these networks, Good Morning America, or one of those stupid shows where these people sit here and just give out fear. The
only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
It's true. Good morning. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And so they fear monger these people. And it's really sad that, that they do this. It's abuse. It's the same with it's what they're doing with kids. They're not letting kids go to school, or if they are in school, there's they're not being able to breathe. What does an asthmatic do? He's got to wear some kind of mask. I have I use a handkerchief, which really doesn't really do much. Okay. I said, I've been tested for it. I came up negative. I'm around people all the time, I try to keep my immune system up, but I'm not here to give advice on that stuff, whatever. But somebody gave me a box of the real medical masks, excuse me. And so they gave me a box of them. So I figured, okay, well, I'll just take it for a try. So I took it with me down to the grocery store. And right before I went in the grocery store, I put this thing on. And I couldn't have been in the grocery store more than a couple of minutes. I'm pushing this cart. And I couldn't frickin' breathe in the thing. I literally couldn't breathe. I had to go like this, which totally defeats the purpose, right? And that's me, I couldn't breathe in the darn thing. And I'm out in fresh air, breathing deeply. I don't have I don't have asthma or any of that kind of stuff. So I don't know. My eyes are starting to wake up a little bit. So yeah. Good morning. But why, that whole idea of this social, and it's just the same thing as when they call it social media, but it's not social media. It's some kind of game. It's a bunch of influencers. It's a bunch of data collection. It's not social media. And social distancing, But the things that they really don't tell you are things like social engineering, because that's what it's really all about. Social engineering. Those are real terms. These are things that think tanks and these people, the Davos and the World Economic Forum type of Great Reset people. These are words they use. Geoengineering, social engineering, that kind of stuff. That big data collection, big tech, big pharma, all the games that these people are playing. Like I say, and I can never say enough, to these people, we are nothing but cattle on a tax/consumer farm. Think about that. You're cattle. And that's how they're treating us right now, like cattle. And it's like, as long as, and they're, keep the cattle going, as long as you're productive. It's almost like maybe if you're a dairy cow, as long as you're producing for them, you're fine. Then as the old thing goes, when you're no longer produced, they put you out to pasture. or worse yet, something anybody who's involved with animals knows, where they put you down. I was talking to my mother a couple of weeks ago on the phone, and she was saying, people just disappearing. They go to the hospital and they just disappear. They never come back. And nobody says anything, what they died from or anything like that. That's sad. It's sad we live in a world where you can't see your parents or loved ones because they're social distancing, not allowing you in a building or allowing them to go out. But that the people telling you this are getting together and, having Thanksgivings, Christmases, Hanukkahs, Kwanzas, Valentine's days, MLK Jr. days. They're doing all that stuff. They're partying themselves. But they can't let the general public, the people they so-called defend and think that they are, they're social justice warriors fighting for the common man and the oppression of us. But then they're out there doing whatever the hell they want to. That's shame on them for doing that, for being that way, and not telling us the truth. Because that's part of the thing about this whole idea where you never know from like week to week, month to month over the last year and a half or so. They just keep changing the story. And if you quote, say you're not like up on the, you're not up on the latest story. So you remember, well, I remember seeing him say, if you didn't need to wear a mask, only wear a mask if you can't social distance. So, if you're not watching glued to the television, which I don't even have anymore, I got rid of it. I don't have a television service anymore because it was just all nonsense. So if you're not glued to that, then you don't know that the guy changed his mind and say, no, social distance and wear a mask, and why not wear two masks? And so if you say, if you quote what you heard the guy say a couple months ago or something like that, because you're not obsessed with this, I'm not going to make, this thing the center of my life. I'm going to make people, humans, the center of my life. I'm looking over my cat when I do these things. Sometimes he wants to be around. Other times he gets turned off because I guess he's confused that I'm talking to a box, to a monitor. And your cat and your pet, whatever, cat, dogs, whatever, they want to be the center of attention a lot of times. And deservedly so. And your loved one should be the center of attention and the center of your attention. You should be able to be around them. And the idea is that, I don't know. I don't care what anybody says. I've looked at CDC statistics, 99.9%, 99.6% out of our, 330 some plus million people in the United States. We made it. We're doing fine. You got any virologist, you look at like things on the longer term, and it's like when something's been around this long, it's whatever's going on now is something new. It's not something from 2 years ago. That's just the way it is, So, but that's that. And I don't get into that. I don't want to violate any terms of service, whatever. To the masters out there, to those in charge, lords and ladies, bow down to the lords and ladies now in this feudal system that we live in. I am but a serf, or I am just cattle on your tax farm. You own the land. You own everything. That's the new one that came out of the World Economic Forum. This guy pushing the Great Reset, this weird Nazi character, this old decrepit guy, where he says, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And what's interesting enough is that, and it was really great, and hats off to the people that have said this. I've heard it from several different people on YouTube say this. They're going, oh, okay, so you will own nothing and you will be happy, right? And of course it's great. These guys go, okay, well then who's going to own it? Oh, you are, Mr. Nazi, World Economic Forum man. Bill Gates, you're going to own it. By the way, who's buying up all of our farmland now? Did you hear about that? That's scary. So I'm glad I'm growing my own food in my backyard, which I basically live off for half the year. I'm going to grow. My goal is 100% growing my own food. The only things I won't, that I'll have to pick up would be things like, like condiment type of things, like some olive oil or maybe some spices or something that I can, that are a little more exotic or something like that. But yeah, salad dressings, whatever, vinegar, I'm not going to make my own vinegar. Excuse me. Sorry. Real TV. I'm a character. I am who I am. And this is great. I love it. The morning show. I like doing this. It's something to get up and do. And share some of my thoughts and ideas. And I watch other people and I listen to them. I'm not saying what I'm happen to say is something that you should follow and it's necessarily, right for you. But I'm just expressing my opinion, my ideas, my thoughts, on what's going on. That's all it is. And that's the beauty of this. And that's why I like YouTube. I may eat my words at some point, but I think so far what they have going on here is a good thing. It's the ability for us to, for TV to be truly for the masses. I was telling somebody last night that, I think they should get rid of the word tube. I had yesterday's show, I actually showed a physical tube that used to be in TVs. And, they used to call television the boob tube, because it had a picture tube and it took tubes inside of it. I think they should just call it UTV, I mean, unless somebody else has that copyright. But besides, there's such multi-billion-dollar corporation, the Alphabet, their parent corporation, however this is structured now, I don't know. Haven't looked into that. But however it's structured, I know they've got billions. And yeah, if somebody owns that, just get it, It should be UTV, I think. Or something like that. I was a creative director of my own ad agency. If I had the contract, I could come up with something. I'll come up with a name if that's taken or you don't like that one. I'll give you 5 options and including the logos and maybe some taglines and a few ideas on how to nationally market it or whatever. But that's right at this point to me, this is UTV and that's cool. This is my channel. It's called Rock Flux because it's a name I've had for a long time. I don't know. There's some band or something that stole using that name and they show up on YouTube search. It's not me. If you want to listen to my music, my name is Tony Caravan and I have a lot of songs available. I have 100 videos on YouTube and check it out. And if you want to help support this channel, since I'm not monetized, I obviously don't have enough people to even be monetized, and I have been demonetized. I don't know. For no reason whatsoever. It's so long ago and far away in a distant galaxy that none of that stuff matters anymore. But if you buy my book, Codex, if you get a t-shirt, if you add one of my songs to your playlist, or you just play my songs on Spotify and different places like that, I'm with BMI, so I can get royalties. Granted, it's only pennies. That's how it works these days. When you self-publish your own book and you self-produce your own music and you have t-shirts made through a third party, you just get a little piece of the action. In music, you get pennies in royalties, and a books and a t-shirt, you might make a 50 cents or a buck or something. I don't know. Depends on, whatever it is. But anyway, I'm coming up on an hour, so we'll just keep it at that. Happy Valentine's Day. Don't be afraid to express love to, out there. We're social people. That love is what it's all about. Take care and have a great, great day. Talk to you soon.